a really rare opportunity for us to be able to communicate and ask questions in this fashion to people of your power. And what action are you going to commit to taking to ensure that young people can communicate more often with people in your power, maybe below your power, and then also with your power?
I love that. I've never been called powerful before, but thank you. I'm really not. No, you're talking about the mayor's office is a powerful entity, and the mayor's office should be leading by example, and should be including all in the community, and should be giving people a voice in their communities. I mean, Alistair Carmichael was on a call with myself and a few of my colleagues. Someone asked him, what is a Liberal Democrat? And he turned around and he said, look, a Liberal Democrat, or a Liberal, is someone that believes that you can do and say whatever you want as long as you're not harming anyone else. A Liberal Democrat believes in the community and believes in that community to make the right decisions for themselves. And decisions should be devolved down to them, and they should be involved as much as possible. So when you talk about young people, those under the age of 25, sometimes I think people forget because the majority of them aren't voters. But we should always remember that you're going to be voters. I mean, I advocate votes at 16 anyway. And I think it would give a lot of politicians a kick up the bum if you all had the vote at 16, to be quite honest. But actually having a forum that you can come to whenever you want, or within youth groups, within the community groups, actually having those safe places you can come, voice your concerns and say, you lot have said this application, you want to plan for this thing here, it's going to take away this from my life or from the rest of the young people around here's lives. And actually having that being put onto record. So it has to be looked at and respected as part of the process of whatever's happening in that community. But you'll find the more decisions that go closer to the community, the larger your voice will become, no matter your age.
I think with uniquely, as mentioned before, within the Green Party, this is something that we all sort of really believe in. We do want to hear young voices. We want young people to be voting from 16 rather than from 18. We are very much into listening to young people. I think what I personally would want to do is not just to be able to set up, this would be an amazing sort of forum to keep going and to replicate and to expand upon, to be able to, to have me pulled in, on a periodic basis and face this sort of grilling from young people and actually have to justify what on earth I was doing and why. I think that would be outstanding. But I also think there's part of the issue I've seen with young people accessing and understanding politics is the fact that it's not taught adequately, and it's not enough of a part of the curriculum for people to understand it. And so I think that's really key. And it came up in another hustings that I was in recently, and someone was asking about town planning and planning permission and those sorts of issues that do impact on everyone. And I said, but how is anyone going to do that? Because no one understands those processes. If we're not teaching those things shouldn't be complex. They shouldn't be unattainable. They shouldn't be something that people can't understand. You and everyone on this call, if you see that something's going on in your area that you're not happy with, you should know how to go. And it's very dull, and planning committees within local authorities are tedious in the extreme. I understand that it's not joyful and a great way to spend time. But actually understanding what it is you have to do to be part of that process, be it sort of something else within local politics, I think is really, really key. And I think these sorts of meetings that we've had are just amazing, because I'm going to leave here with more taken away and more notes that I've made about the questions that you're asking and the issues that are important than you will probably all take away collectively from having spoken to me and the other candidates. But yeah, so that's what I'll do. It's about empowering, and it's about teaching and showing what politics and what local politics is about. It's about having access to those things. It's about inviting young people to come and see what I'm doing. It's about opening up those avenues of communication, but it's also about speaking to local councillors across the 10 districts and saying, right, this is what I'm prepared to do as the mayor. What are you going to do to match that? You know, I'm going to meet with them once a month or once every 2 months. I'm going to have advocates from areas. I might have, you know, a youth group that meets and sort of we talk about issues that are ongoing. That's what I'm going to do as mayor. How are you going to replicate that across the 10 boroughs? Because that's really key, and that fits in with Green Party policy around voting from 16. You can't vote at 16 if you don't know what you're voting for or in or why or anything else. So that is really part of how I interpret that part of our policy and where I see it going.
Thank you, Hannah. Really important question. So I've been doing the politician thing on here tonight, claiming credit for the R-Pass and aren't I brilliant, and I introduced it and all of that. The truth of the matter is, it was somebody from Reclaim called Olivia Clark who put forward the idea of the R-Pass to me at the last mayoral election.
One of my close friends, funnily enough.
Well, there you go. You see, so you ask her, she may say otherwise, but I hope she would say that, you know, she'd influence things and change things for the better. And I did and do put a lot of emphasis on listening to young people. So before Mira cut me off before when I was in the middle of my, I want to joke about. I was going to talk about the survey that we've done of year 10s, because there's one thing, you know, it's right to have this kind of conversation and respond to what people say. But I've also got to kind of make sure that we're hearing the wider voices of young people. So I've instituted a life readiness survey. I don't know if any of you have ever taken it. It's a year 10 survey, and it asks a whole range of questions. And I was just going to touch on one of the findings that came back from that, which was that 4 in 10 year 10s are aware of GMAX, which is an amazing statistic. But another thing that came out of that was that 6 in 10 were aware of Couth, which is a new online mental health service that we've pioneered, or we pushed quite a lot during the pandemic. And the thing is about that survey, I use things like that to tell me, well, that survey is telling me something in my role, and that is young people are calling out for more emphasis on mental health, but also mental health delivered in a different way, which is more accessible and easier and instant. So I do both of these things, and I take them both very seriously. I've established the Youth Combined Authority, and obviously some of you are on it, Bethan is on it, and we have listened to it. And the Youth Combined Authority actually brought through the R-Pass in terms of its actual implementation. I've had a couple of care leavers roundtables. So the thing I was talking before about extending R-Pass came from a discussion with care leavers, young people themselves who've been in care. So there's that. I do speak directly to young people in terms of their voice in decision making, but I also have that wider survey of year 10s, which I think is also important to inform our decision making.